Now, look, let's be honest about this. I have a sense of deja vu because I think we've done a Nextdoor 2.0 before. So I'd say this is maybe Nextdoor 3.0. But give me the basics of why you've done it and what you've done.
Well, this is an entirely new Nextdoor. So whether we call it 2.0, 3.0, or 10.0 doesn't matter, because for consumers, this is going to feel and operate like a completely new app, but grounded in what Nextdoor has always cared about, and that is safety alerts, local news, and recommendations from trusted neighbors.
The thing that you and I have discussed a lot in the past is the scale of Nextdoor. So 46 million active users. Going forward with this new focus, what's the metric that you judge success by? Is it their user base or something else?
Well, it is engagement, and you're right. We have over 100 million verified neighbors who've joined Nextdoor, but the potential for Nextdoor, we believe, is much greater. We can and should be one of those social networks that has over 1 billion users. And so we have work to do. And over the last year, the work that we've done is to create a better product to enable more engagement, which will translate into more users, translate into more revenue, translate into profits, et cetera.
The thing I hear a lot in the moment in the domain of social media is time spent, actually including generative AI tools. So how do you do the conversion, somebody that is a registered user or active user to somebody that spends a lot of time on the platform, but using the new offerings that you've put in place?
Well, ultimately, the real ambition of any consumer application is to turn into a daily habit. And so whether you're coming every day for a few minutes or whether you're spending hours every single day, that's where we start. And today, many of our users are only coming weekly or several times per week. So the first thing we do is we ask ourselves, how can we turn this into something that you check the minute that you wake up in the morning and you check before you go to bed at night? Because there are so many things happening around us, and if things are happening on the neighborhood, they should be on Nextdoor. So that's been our focus and our ambition for the new Nextdoor.
That begs a very interesting, almost academic question, which is if you want Nextdoor to be the first thing someone looks at when they wake up and the last thing before they go to bed, who's Nextdoor's closest competitor?
Well, it's a great question, and I think our greatest competitor is really ourselves. When we talk about Nextdoor...
That's not really a competitor,
well,
come on.
It is, though, because we have an ambition and we have an expectation for what we can deliver to our users that we have not achieved in the past. And so we need to do better. We need to build better product. We need to enable stronger local community. There is no one else today who's built an entire geospatial platform based on where people live. There are lots of local services sites. There are lots of local news sites, but there's no one who's bringing it all together. So if we can do so successfully, we can be that indispensable, essential neighborhood network.
That brings in the local news component. I found this fascinating. Why go into local news? We're in an environment where the big social platforms increasingly are pulling back from news on the platform by choice. That was something that you were sort of jumping into head first.
Well, there's a great quote from the famous venture capitalist Michael Moritz that I just read a couple of weeks ago. And the quote is, "Local news is as important to a city as air, water, and gas." And we believe that at Nextdoor. Local news is what compels citizens to have civic discourse. It's what helps keep communities stronger. And so as part of this new Nextdoor, we're doing something that we haven't done in our 14-year history. We are inviting local publishers to come to our platform and use it as a distribution mechanism to take their great journalism and spread it to our users. And so we have 3,500 local publishers publishing 50,000 articles every week, and now our users can read that news, they can stay informed, they can engage in conversation, and it's something that isn't happening, to your point, on any of the other social platforms today.
Nirav, let's end by talking about M&A, because these strategies, which include local news, there are different mechanisms you can use to grow. How do you think about M&A and moving into the new domains that you want Nextdoor to win in?
Well, every single advisor that I've talked to, either as a private company CEO or as a public company CEO, has said the same thing. You have to operate your company as if it will be around forever, as a single independent entity. And so that's the way that we think about Nextdoor. As a public company, we always have to listen to any conversation that comes our way. But I will tell you, we are 100% focused on achieving our potential as a standalone independent entity.